Welcome back to Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet. I'm Kristie.
And I'm Josh, and today's theme is Kristie the asshole?
What? Kristies can't be assholes.
So, as revenge for you doing an Is Josh the Asshole episode, I looked up a bunch of stories, all starring people named Kristie.
And I'm sure every single one of those Kristies is a wonderful human being.
Am I the asshole for telling my mother-in-law she can't criticize my parenting in front of my kid?
I do feel like that's not something you should do. Like, if you want to criticize your daughter-in-law for her parenting, don't do it in front of her kids and undermine her.
I, 30 female, have been married to my husband, Kieran, 34 male, for 4 years, and we have one son together, 3. My mother-in-law, Kristie, is one of those people who doesn't seem to have ever grown out of the mentality that her son is in fact a grown man with a family of his own, and can be very overbearing at times. But I've known for the most part that she means well. She was very vocal through my pregnancy about what I should do and everything, etc. And a lot of it was valuable as first-time parents. But since our son has been born, she has been very hands-on. Kieran has previously spoken to her about coming over too often. He knows I prefer to leave her to him, lol. But she doesn't seem to have taken much of the hint. Right now, she enjoys popping over sometimes twice a week.
That is too much to be popping over. Like, planned visits, okay, but popping over, no. You can't just pop in whenever you want.
A few days ago, we were at a family gathering when my son threw a tantrum because he'd lost his favorite teddy. I was handling it calmly and found the toy, but my mother-in-law stepped in and started criticizing my approach right in front of everyone.
That's really rude and overstepping. First of all, I feel like criticizing another person's parenting in itself is rude, but if you really feel like you need to do it, you pull that person aside and do it in private.
She told me that I was being too lenient and my son would grow up spoiled if I didn't discipline him properly. This seemed utterly ludicrous to me, considering that not only is it mine and my husband's decision how we parent our son, but he's 3 years old and lost his teddy. There's not much to discipline him for. I was embarrassed and frustrated because it was in front of a bunch of family members, but I pulled her aside later and asked her directly if she could take a step back from trying to control both my marriage and parenting.
See, that is how you handle a conflict. You pull the person aside and talk about it in private without an audience.
She got very frustrated with me and started telling me that I needed to be more patient. Real change of tune there, Kristie. Thought I needed to be more strict and direct, and that she was clearly only trying to help.
Yes, when it comes to the toddler, be strict and direct. But when it comes to the mother-in-law, you must be patient with her.
I understand that she probably is acting with the best of intentions, but it's starting to get too much. Part of me can't help but feel like she's treating mine and Kieran's son as a sort of second son of her own. But on the other hand, I understand that she's likely just trying to guide us in the right direction. I'm not sure. Am I the asshole?
No, I don't think you're the asshole, and I think you handled this in a very mature and adult way, unlike your mother-in-law, Kristie. I feel like if you want to criticize someone like this, you need to pull them aside and do it in private, and just doing it in front of a crowd is so rude and embarrassing for everybody, and why would you do that? Like, OP is embarrassed that mother-in-law is lecturing her in front of everybody. Son is confused because why is grandma yelling at mom? What the heck's going on? And all the bystanders who are watching this are like, awkward. How do I just back out of this situation? I don't want to be involved in this. This is so awkward. Everybody's embarrassed except mother-in-law.
Yeah, and she probably should be embarrassed.
Yeah, she probably should be, but she's just not that self-aware, I guess.
Because the way that I always approach situations like that is that parent needs to be that child's absolute authority.
Right. As soon as that kid thinks, I don't have to listen to mom because grandma says I don't have to, well, then that kid is going to get out of control.
Right. You don't want the 3-year-old saying no to mom and then going and asking grandma to overrule mom. No, mom is the final word.
Everyone knows mom is the final word, and that's why you go to dad if you have a request that you think mom isn't going to be okay with. Hey, can I go to my friend's house, Dad?
Yeah, make sure not to go to mom first, because dad might ask, what did your mom say?
But then you can go to mom and be like, Dad said it was okay.
Yeah, dad can't overrule mom, but if dad says yes first, then you've got a lot of sway in your argument.
And I mean, I know that the dads probably should have just as much authority as the mom and be just as strict, but mine wasn't. I don't think a lot of dads in the 80s were.
Yeah, I mean, parents should be the final word of the law. when it comes to raising a kid, especially one that's 3. But either way, you gotta respect mom. One of the top comments, not the asshole, but your husband should be the one standing up for you. You and your husband should discuss how often she can visit, and tell her she can no longer just show up. If she does show up without prior arrangements, just don't answer the door. Time to establish some boundaries.
Yeah, I do feel like a lot of this is on the husband to fix. Like, it's his mother. He needs to deal with her.
Yeah, each person in a relationship really needs to be in charge of controlling their own family. It just works cleaner that way. Not the asshole, but don't assume she has the best of intentions. Her intent, clearly demonstrated, is to tell you what to do and how to do it. She wants patience from you while she lays down the law and you follow her instructions. It's time for you and Kieran to lay down the law instead. Our child, our rules. If you don't like our rules, you can keep quiet until we are alone, and then she can suggest an alternative. If we turn it down, that is the end of the discussion. Then you and Kieran must be prepared to enact consequences if she breaks the rules. Tell her what she has to lose if she breaks the rules.
Yeah, that sounds great, but it's not going to work unless you get Kieran on board. Otherwise, his mom is going to break a rule. You're going to be like, this is the consequence. You can't come over anymore. And Kieran's going to be like, nah, it's fine. Just let her come over. It's just, she didn't mean anything by it. She's got good intentions. You really need to get your husband on board with this.
Yeah, when it comes to Kristie's, you've really got to be blunt and lay down the law.
You're going to play this up the whole episode, aren't you?
Yeah, the Is Josh the Asshole episode was very popular, so I need a lot of revenge here. But overall, the comments are pretty much the same thing over and over. Don't let her in when she turns up unannounced. If she has a key, change your lock. And Grandma really should not be calling out the parent in front of everybody.
Yeah, I feel like OP is definitely not the asshole. Grandma Kristie is a little bit the asshole. Mostly she's just massively overstepping. And I feel like you need to correct her on this behavior ASAP.
Am I the asshole for kicking out my wife's friend?
Okay, I feel like generally it's your wife's guest. You shouldn't be kicking them out unless they do something egregious. So what did this person do?
I, 38 male, am married to my wife, 37 female, and we have 3 kids, 12 female, 10 male, and 9 male. My wife has a friend group of like 6 to 8 people, but her main friend is this one woman I'll call Kristie. I don't like Kristie very much.
Hey.
Just soundbite that.
No, I don't like that.
She just always has some type of input on everything. If I say the fridge is empty, for example, she will say, there are people who have less, don't complain. She genuinely just pisses me the fuck off, and she needs to shut the hell up sometimes.
It feels like OP has a lot of built-up resentment towards this Kristie.
Okay, so my daughter recently got her first phone since her birthday was a couple days ago. When the friend noticed, she started opening her big-ass mouth on why it's bad parenting to let a 12-year-old have such a costly device while I was sitting on the couch a couple inches away from her. And she was talking to me directly.
Okay, I do feel like that is rude on the friend's part, because don't criticize how people parent their kids. And it sounds like, again, the kid is in the room. Definitely don't criticize the parent on how they're parenting in front of the child. But also, I feel like 12 is a very normal age for kids to get phones these days.
Yeah, it really is. Even if it's just one for emergencies, right?
Yeah, like, take it to school with you, because that's when they start doing like after school activities and things. Call me when you're ready for me to pick you up. I feel like 12 is an age where they're somewhat responsible enough to have a phone and might need one in case of emergency.
But also, from that last sentence, it's very clear that OP has a lot of built-up resentment for Kristie.
Sounds like this one comment from her just might be the straw that broke the camel's back.
I told her she can always leave if she has a problem, and she asked me who I'm talking to. In my own house. So I tell her to take her and her judgments to the door and make sure not to look back. She did leave, and my wife called me a jerk for what I did, and left the house to go to altitude with my 9-year-old. Am I the asshole?
So it sounds like OP kind of massively overreacted to this comment.
It does sound to me like maybe OP went straight to 100 there. But just based off of how much he badmouthed Kristie up to the point of the story, I have to assume that he does not like this woman.
He's had it up to here with this lady.
Oh, he's had it beyond there.
So I can kind of get asking this person you really, really hate and who is really, really annoying to leave your house. But it also seems kind of rude on his part. Like, he just went straight to 100 and was like, I'm kicking you out.
Yeah, because also this is not his guest.
Yes, it's his wife's friend. You think you'd want to build a somewhat, nice relationship with this person, at least cordial. And he is not caring about that at all. Has he talked to his wife at all about how much he dislikes this person? And could you please not bring them around the house as much?
Or could OP have just needed to leave the house for some reason whenever she comes over?
Or at least go hide in the man cave. I don't know. Just make yourself scarce.
Because I don't know. I'm leaning towards an everyone sucks here.
Yeah, it does seem like everyone sucks. Okay, Kristie is definitely making super annoying and judgmental comments.
Yes, there is no doubt that Kristie should not be judging your parenting loudly. Just, it's not her business.
But I feel like you just overreacted, took all your anger, pent-up anger out on her all at once. And that's probably not the best or healthiest response to this.
Yeah, every time she told you, yeah, other people have it worse, so don't complain. You didn't respond to those ones, and it just bottled up and built and built.
So yeah, I like everyone sucks here. Even the wife, she must know that her husband hates this lady, unless they're really bad at communicating. But I mean, it seems like he's not hiding it. He's probably scowling at Kristie all the time, every time she comes over. So I feel like even the wife sucks. If I knew there was someone that you absolutely hated, I would not be bringing them around my house all the time. I'd try and meet them out.
Yeah, because it is her friend. So I'm not going to be like, you have to cut your friend off or anything because your husband doesn't like him. That's silly.
But also, it's his house. It's your house together. You're bringing someone that makes him uncomfortable into his safe space.
Right. So I like the idea of I'm going to go out to hang out with Kristie, and husband will just roll his eyes at the idea of Kristie existing, and that will be the end of it.
Yeah, try to just minimize contact between these two, wife. Do whatever you can to keep them separate, but, still keep both of them as your friends or husband. Just separate.
I like the idea of OP needing a man cave that he can disappear into instead of hanging out with them.
Oh, yeah. Why is he hanging out with them in the living room if he really hates this lady so much? I would try and disappear and, avoid a confrontation. I think he might have been, wanting a confrontation.
Maybe. I mean, he was sitting inches from her. He didn't even sit far away from her. Maybe she sat next to him. Maybe Kristie does not have a problem with OP. OP has a lot of problems with Kristie, though.
It probably is that way, because I feel like Kristie is a little bit oblivious to, social thing. She probably has no idea OP hates her.
Yeah, I get that. My Kristie's pretty oblivious to a lot of things.
I am.
This is fun. I see why you did this.
I like this. But I certainly hope I'm not as annoying as this Kristie apparently is.
Reddit says not the asshole.
Okay.
Top comment, not the asshole. Kristie was inappropriate. I can't blame you at all.
Okay, she was inappropriate, but could we not have just been like, hey, please don't comment on my parenting style. You are not a parent. You don't understand.
We don't know if she's a parent or not.
These are not your children. You don't understand. Why didn't we start with that before get out of my house?
That's the only real critique anyone in the comments has. Not the asshole, but I do think the immediate you can leave if you have a problem makes you look defensive, even though the woman rightly bugs you. There are stacks of other ways to respond to this, shut it down or laugh it off or brush it off, that make you look calm and collected and Kristie looks intrusive. The issue here is you and your wife weren't on the same page. Now your wife is calling you a jerk. Kristie feels justified. Talk to your wife about Kristie and her opinions, and Kristie needs to have less or no opinions unless asked for. Still NTA, though, because Kristie is annoying and rude and an asshole herself.
Okay, I feel like that judgment of Kristie might be a little harsh. We don't have her side of the story. I'm just saying.
For no reason.
For no reason that Kristie's might not be as bad as you think they are.
You are fair and impartial. Kristie was out of line. To speak and act like that in your house, just because she has opinions doesn't mean you have to listen or that she needs to comment about everything. I did just realize, though, Kristie called you and your wife bad parents. She wasn't just bad-mouthing you, OP.
Does that make it better or worse? Because now he's standing up for his wife, which I like.
I don't know. It just makes me think about it differently, I guess.
but also let your wife stand up for herself, maybe.
Yeah, it's her friend. I definitely would have let you handle this unless I absolutely needed to step in. It just sounds like OP went 0 to 100 here. Not 0 to 100, I guess. It sounds like he was building up to 100 over the last few years.
But from an outside perspective, it looks like he went from 0 to 100.
But overall, Reddit is so insulted by Kristie calling OP a bad parent in their own house that they don't even think he was an asshole for trying to kick her out.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I still feel like I like Everybody Sucks here, but I do feel like maybe Kristie might be a little bit more the asshole.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, consider hitting that subscribe button.
We really appreciate your support, and it lets us know to keep making fun videos for you guys.
Am I the asshole for not getting rid of my cats for my pregnant best friend?
No, cats are family. Do not get rid of them. You keep those babies. Not your pregnant friend's baby, your baby cats. You keep the cats. They're family.
I, 22 female, have lived alone since the beginning of this year in a 2-bed, 2-bath condo. I have one cat who is my pet, but I also volunteer with a local cat rescue organization. It's fairly often that I temporarily foster cats and kittens anywhere from just 1 night to 2 weeks at most, until we clear them to be placed in our shelter or with another foster or they are adopted. Usually I take in 1 foster at a time, but at times it's 2 if they're siblings bonded, etc. Recently this summer, my best friend, Kristie, 23 female, moved in with me because she was on very bad, hostile terms with her mom and stepdad, who she lived with, and it was safer for her to move out. I, of course, offered her to stay with me, and she's been in the spare bedroom since. However, last month, Kristie found out she's pregnant from her boyfriend. They have a plan to get their own place ASAP, she says, but I truly don't mind if she stays here as long as she needs. Given that she's pregnant, when she told her mom last week, her mom wanted to come over and talk things over. So she came here on Thursday, and they talked privately for about 2 hours. When they came out, it seemed like it was a good chat, and they were more relaxed. But her mom kind of turned her attention towards me and said, if Kristie's going to be living here, you need to do something about the cats. I asked what she meant, and she mentioned toxoplasmosis.
Okay, no. Just have your friend Kristie not clean the litter boxes, and she'll be fine. Do they go into detail about what toxoplasmosis is?
So much detail.
Oh, okay. I was like, because I can give a detailed explanation if you need to.
Don't worry, OP rescues cats.
Okay.
They go into so much detail about it. You are welcome to chime in, though.
Okay.
I asked what she meant, and she mentioned toxoplasmosis, the litter boxes, number of cats here, etc., and started getting an attitude towards me and said, you guys should have thought of this already. I let her know we did, actually, and there's an extremely low to no risk of toxoplasmosis. I only have 1 cat, my own, in the main house, who doesn't go into Kristie's room. Kristie also has 0 obligations or responsibilities for my cats. I let her know that the minute she moved in. All litter boxes are cleaned minimum twice daily, and aren't even anywhere near Kristie. My cat's litter box is kept in the garage, she has a cat door, and any foster cats I have are kept in my master bathroom. It's a large bathroom and adapted to be safe for a temporary foster. The only interactions Kristie has is if she happens to be in the living room, hallway, or kitchen when my cat is at the same time. So contact is extremely limited. I also want to add all cats I foster are up to date with vaccines, spayed, neutered, and exclusively indoor cats only.
Okay. Up to date with vaccines does not mean that they can't carry toxoplasmosis. They might still have it.
I think she's just adding that to be thorough. You can tell that OP is very thorough about her cat fostering.
Yeah, which is good. So the cats might still be carriers of toxoplasmosis gondii, but the chances of Kristie getting it if she doesn't go directly into the litter boxes and touch the poop is like 0.
Yeah, which is what OP said too. It's almost 0 as long as she's not scooping the litter. After explaining all this to Kristie's mom, I told her that at most I would be willing to possibly limit the fosters I bring in, but I will absolutely not be getting rid of my cat. She told me, well, yours is the biggest risk here.
What?
Also, she tried to suggest that I should stop volunteering with cats altogether until Kristie moved out or until the baby is born.
Okay, well, Kristie needs to move out now then.
I mean, we shouldn't be kicking Kristie out of the house because her mom is being kind of awful. That's why Kristie's in the house in the first place.
Okay, good point. But we need to know, does Kristie agree with her mom on this?
Kristie tried interrupting her mom to calm down because she kept going on about how I'm being selfish. I'm not realizing that she's carrying another life now, not considering the risks, etc. But given their relationship, she was very on edge with her mom, which I understand. I love my best friend, but I will not be getting rid of my pet in my own home that was here before she was. I'm willing to adapt and limit fosters, but I genuinely do not think I'm risking anyone's health here, and don't want to stop volunteering. Am I the asshole?
Not the asshole, but she did not go into as much detail about toxoplasmosis as I wanted her to, because I feel like there's a lot of information about toxoplasmosis that pertains to this scientifically that she did not cover.
How much detail did you want her to go into on an Am I the Asshole post?
So much more. I love parasites.
Proceed.
Parasitology is the best. It was my favorite course in college. Okay, so it's been a long time since that college course, but if my memory serves me correctly, you can get toxoplasmosis from cat poop or eating undercooked meat. Now, like 50% of Americans already have toxoplasmosis, usually from one of those two things. Now, if you already have toxoplasmosis, which 50% of people do, and then you get pregnant, there's no risk to your baby. Your baby's going to be fine. It's when you are pregnant and then you contract the toxoplasmosis parasite while you are pregnant, that can have severe birth defects on your baby.
I'm sorry, you keep pausing and looking at me like you want me to cut in, and I will remind you that I have an art degree.
Okay. So there's like a 50% chance that Kristie already has this and has contracted it at some point in her life, and it is not going to affect her baby at all. But if she doesn't have it, she's much more likely to get it from eating undercooked meat than she is because she doesn't scoop litter boxes. If she doesn't scoop litter boxes, she's not going to come in contact with it from the cats.
Is it all meat or just like a certain kind?
I can't remember. I think undercooked beef, maybe
okay.
Pork. I don't remember, actually. I just know undercooked meat. So having a cat in the house, even if it is a carrier of toxoplasmosis, there's like a 0% risk to anybody who isn't cleaning the litter boxes. She's not going to contract it just from being in the same house as this cat that has it. And we don't even know if the cat has it.
And I gotta say, OP is an incredible cat owner if she has the energy to scoop her litter boxes twice a day.
Yeah, that is something. That is a little overkill, I think. But I mean, maybe they don't have like a hidden away area for the litter boxes. So if someone uses it, it smells immediately.
No, she does. She keeps it out in the garage, she said.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay, she's real on top of things. I'm sorry I don't clean your litter box twice a day, Odin.
He should be apologizing to his sisters who have to share it with him.
But anyways, did you know that they found out while my mom was pregnant with me that she had toxoplasmosis, and they didn't know if she contracted it while pregnant with me or if she had already had it before. So they were very concerned that I was going to come out blind and with mental disabilities.
Yeah, you tell me this every time somebody says the word toxoplasmosis.
Yeah, so it was a concern, but turns out everything was okay. She must have contracted it at some point previous to that. But they were especially concerned because a cat pooped in my sister's sandbox and my mom cleaned it out. And they were like, oh no, you got toxoplasmosis from that.
I'm going to be honest with you. I did not foresee a parasitology rant coming when I chose this story. And honestly...
Why not?
No, that's entirely my fault. It's 100% that was going to happen.
Also, did you know that there is some evidence that toxoplasmosis makes humans more of a risk taker if they have it?
You have told me this before, but it is an interesting fact.
Isn't it cool? So yeah, and that makes sense because my mom was always like, yeah, let's go jump off that cliff into that lake over there. She's a big risk taker.
Yeah, you have told me that before. And now I'm thinking about our trip to the Grand Canyon last year, and you and your mom get way too close to the edge of cliffs. For both me and your dad's taste.
I want to see what's down there. What's over that edge?
But, despite the absolute look of joy in your eyes as you just talk about parasites, I'm going to put the conversation a little back on track towards Am I the Asshole here?
Oh, yeah. Okay, no, not the asshole. This is your apartment. Kristie knew there were cats when she moved in. She didn't know she was going to get pregnant. But if she has a problem with cats while she's pregnant, that's on her to solve. The lease is in your name. It's your apartment, your cats, your everything. If she doesn't like it, she needs to get out.
Yeah, I mean, Kristie is a guest there, and Mom's solution was you need to fix your apartment, not me and stepdad need to be better and let her move back in.
Well, maybe she knows that's never going to happen. Kristie does not want to move back in.
I mean, they did have a 2-hour conversation. That probably came up. Top comment, not the asshole. As long as she's not scooping the litter boxes, she should be fine. If her mom is so concerned, maybe she should step up and be a better parent to her daughter so she can live with her. OP replied, "Thank you. Kristie and I came to the agreement from the get-go that she doesn't need to do anything with the cats whatsoever as soon as she moved in. So she's as far from the litter boxes as possible because, from what I understand, that's where one of the most likely risks of toxoplasmosis actually comes from." Somebody replied, "Then don't feel guilty. Her mom is probably just projecting and feeling guilty for not providing her daughter a more stable environment. It's always easier to point the finger at someone else." Somebody else comments, "I would be extremely careful if her mom comes over, especially if you aren't home. You may be told your cat ran away. Please get Kristie out of the house as soon as you can. Keep being a great kitty mom." OP replied, "Thank you. The thought hadn't even crossed my mind that they might try to do something to my kitties, but Kristie is aware I have cameras in the house and at both the front door and back patio. She doesn't have Wi-Fi access or anything to the cameras, but hopefully that's not a route she'd ever try to go down with me. Her mom isn't welcome in the home."
Okay, yeah, I feel like we need to talk more with the roommate and see what her opinion on all of this is. Does she agree with her mom and want you to get rid of the cats, or does she think her mom is being ridiculous and there's no reason to get rid of the cats? Why would you get rid of your cats? I want to know whose side of the fight Kristie is on here because I think that massively affects how you deal with this.
Well, OP does have a short edit that kind of addresses it.
Okay.
Edit. Thank you everyone for the suggestions and educational info. I did my best research as soon as I found out Kristie was pregnant, and it was a relief to see so many comments concurring. Secondly, I do have cameras in most all spaces in my home, including front and back entrances. I truly don't believe Kristie herself would ever harm or put my cats in danger, but I know crazier things have happened. Last, Kristie is staying at her boyfriend's tonight, and we haven't spoken much on the situation. In the little talk we had after her mom left, she was deeply apologetic and did tell me she doesn't mind the cats at all and doesn't feel unsafe. I will be talking to her again tomorrow night about not allowing her mom here given the way she spoke to me and about my animals, and coming up with a more airtight agreement in writing of her living situation here. So, it does sound like Kristie doesn't really have any concerns about the cats. She's just not good at telling mom to stop.
Which is good. I mean, she should learn to tell her mom to shut up, but...
But that's tough.
Yes, and the moral of the story is Kristie does not have a concern about your cats, so you don't need to feel like they're unsafe around her.
The moral I learned from this story is remember not to bring up parasites around Kristie unless you want the whole conversation derailed.
Do you want to hear about Clonorchis sinensis, the Chinese liver fluke?
I'm just going to cut to the next story. Am I the asshole for telling my wife to be quiet?
Yeah, that sounds like an asshole move. Don't tell your wife to shut up. That's rude.
I, 43 male, am married to Kristie, 43 female. We have a daughter in 8th grade, Ava, 13 female, and a 9-year-old son. Ava has been wanting to go to boarding school for high school for a while now, since August.
There's kids out there that want to go to boarding school? I always thought that sounded like a nightmare.
At least according to TV, that's what you do with the kids you can't deal with. You send them off to boarding school.
Yeah, like that's a threat. If you don't behave yourself, I'm sending you off to boarding school. But then again, if you think about it, and all the young adult books and things or TV shows, they send the kids off to boarding school and they have a grand old time.
Or military academy. And then they get to fly on dragons and nothing bad ever happens.
Nothing bad ever happens. It is not a fight to the death.
There's nothing going on at her regular school, but she really wants to try boarding school. She's done a bunch of research on where she wants to go and stuff like that. Personally, I think it would be a good thing for her to try, and thought Kristie would agree, but I guess not.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be really tough as a parent. Like, you know, eventually they're going to go off and go to college and leave the home. And then suddenly your kid wants to do it like 4 years early. And you're like, I am not mentally prepared for that.
That is a big change for mom to have to accept, isn't it?
It's huge.
Kristie immediately shut the idea down and started talking about, oh, she'll only be there for X more years anyways, and stuff like that. She didn't entertain the idea of her living at school at all. I thought she was being kind of close-minded, but she didn't want to hear any of that. I was getting kind of frustrated trying to argue my point, and Kristie just kept talking over me, and I told her to be quiet for one damn second. She didn't want to stop anymore after that.
Oh no, now you've just changed what the fight is about. It's no longer about whether your daughter is going to boarding school. It's about the disrespect you just showed.
Am I the asshole? This didn't happen all that long ago, so I want to see if I'm wrong here.
Okay, but I do kind of get that Kristie was just going on and on and on and on and wouldn't let you get a word in edgewise, and that can be super frustrating. And you're like, could you just let me talk for a minute? So I kind of feel like everyone sucks here. Kristie for not being open-minded and having an adult, rational conversation about the pros and cons of boarding schools and why she's against it. And you for pulling, can you just be quiet out in the middle of a fight? Like, there are better ways to handle that.
Yeah, because I would say boarding school is one of those things where it needs to either be 2 yeses from mom and dad or 1 no.
Yes, this is something that both parents need to agree on.
Or if they disagree, the answer is probably going to be no, you're still staying here in the option that we know is working for you. Because it sounds like Ava just wants it for the experience. There's not actually anything wrong at her school.
Yeah, and it doesn't even sound like, from what we know, Ava is like, I want this because it's going to look good on my college resume or anything. She's not even thinking about the future. She's just like, this sounds fun. Which I don't think is a great reason to go to boarding school.
I mean, we don't get a ton of Ava's logic. But also Ava is 13. I don't know if at 13 I was that concerned about my college resume.
Yeah, that is a good point. A lot of 13-year-olds aren't that far-sighted.
Reddit says OP is the asshole.
Okay.
Top comment, you're the asshole on a couple of levels. First, for snapping at your wife. Second, for trying to push something as massive as boarding school on her. This is a big decision. You don't force your point or belittle your wife to get there. A 13-year-old is not mature enough to decide her education and living arrangements yet. This is not a 2-against-1 situation. This is you and your wife. Also, when Kristie says she'll only be around for X number of years anyway, are you mainly interested in getting your teen out of your house? If so, you're the asshole on all levels. I don't know if I ever caught any implication that OP was just trying to get his teen out of the house.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to take that. She'll only be around X number of years anyways. It's either we only have her for X number of years and we should keep her here and savor every moment with her, or get her out of the house now. It's hard to tell without context and inflection in the words.
I guess that's true. I just interpreted that as I only have 4 more years with my baby, and I don't want her spending it at a boarding school. But I guess it could have gone the other way too.
But I do agree with the commenter that OP is a little bit the asshole for snapping at his wife in the middle of an argument.
And I would agree with you. It sounds like Kristie did not want to have a discussion about it because she just kept talking over everybody about how she did not want this to happen. A 13-year-old might not be quite mature enough to decide their entire course of academia to this extreme, but they are mature enough to at least initiate the discussion with mom and dad, and it sounds like she did do some research.
Yeah, so I feel like everybody sucks because Kristie should have been open to the idea of what her daughter wanted and at least listened to her arguments for and against, and had a real discussion about it. And she did not seem open to any discussion.
Another comment, everyone sucks here. You are not listening to your wife's hard no. This is a 2 yes, 1 no situation. Wife said no, end of discussion. Your wife shouldn't have spoken over you, and you shouldn't have told her to be quiet.
Yeah, it just seems disrespectful from both sides.
I would go with everyone sucks here, but it does tip towards you. You should not have said that. She should not have been talking over you. That said, it tips you're the asshole because you seem to have unilaterally decided to let the kid plan boarding school without ever talking to your wife, the child's mother, about it. Not at all cool. Of course she has big feelings when this is sprung on her unexpectedly. And then this is a good comment to close it out on. Now you both know why the kid wants to try boarding school.
Oh, yeah. She wants to get away from her fighting, controlling parents.
Which is why most teenagers want to leave home, and that's why everybody goes to college at least 3 hours away from home.
Yeah, you gotta be at least far enough away that the drive is inconvenient.
Am I the asshole for posting my engagement ring photos?
No, that's what you do after you get engaged. You go on social media and you post photos right away.
That's the whole reason to get engaged.
It is.
I, 29 female, just recently became engaged with my boyfriend, Sean, 28 male, and I'm so excited. He proposed on the 3rd anniversary of our meeting, August 7th, and did it at the same place where we had our first date as a couple. It was really touching and gave me so much joy, and the next day I posted 3 pictures. One of the 2 of us smiling at the location, single pic of me showing off the ring, and then a close-up of me kissing Sean on the cheek while positioning my hand so that you could see the ring. I thought it was sweet and got a lot of compliments. Cue Sean's sister-in-law, who is also his ex, raising a fit on social media.
Ex and a sister-in-law? Ooh.
Background. Sean dated his sister-in-law, Kristie, 28 female, back in high school, but the relationship ended when he walked in on Kristie and his brother, Matt, 30 male, doing the deed.
I hope not 30 male at the time, 30 now, right?
They're 28 and 30 now.
Okay.
Obviously, he dumped Kristie and ceased to have a relationship with Matt. His parents eventually came around to forgive their other son, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that Kristie gave birth to their first grandchild.
Ooh, yeah, bringing a grandbaby into the family will get them to forgive a lot.
It is a bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card.
It really is.
Kristie and Matt have been engaged ever since, but Sean's parents have never pushed for reconciliation and respected his boundaries. The ring that Sean used to propose to me was a family heirloom that future mother-in-law gave to Sean with her blessing, and Kristie was upset that I was getting it. She made a whole list of excuses as to why Sean shouldn't give me the ring, and how I was unworthy.
Oh, you're the unworthy one, but cheating hoe Kristie isn't.
Well, that's mother-in-law's opinion, it sounds like.
I gotta say, in this case, I am not on the Kristie side. I do not like cheaters.
I should point out that this is the only Kristie who spells their name the same way you do.
What? No, that's the worst. I was expecting this to be a CH Kristie, if we're being honest. Because those CH Kristies, can't trust them.
You can't trust a CH Kristie.
No, only the K Kristies.
Sean and I are an interracial couple, and he took it as a slight against me, and in a fit of anger, made up a list of ways of how much better I am than Kristie.
Okay, I like Sean.
He later regretted doing it because Kristie used that list of ammo to paint herself as a completely innocent victim.
Someone is a master manipulator.
Yeah, that's always the worst, when somebody's being mean to you, so you be mean back, and then they're like, look at him being mean to me.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, it was justified, but it doesn't make you look good.
But I fully understand doing it in the moment. While I didn't appreciate being compared to another woman in an effort to put her down, I forgave Sean. I don't know how, but Kristie saw my engagement photos. Sean and I have her blocked on social media, and she's recruited her friends to pressure me into taking down the photos because it isn't fair that I got the ring, since Kristie has been engaged longer, and that if anything, it should go to the firstborn girl, so that way I don't steal a family ring in the event of a divorce. Not that I ever see myself divorcing Sean, but I would never keep the ring if we did.
Yeah, I feel like there are situations where the wife gets to keep the ring in the divorce, but if it is a family heirloom, they absolutely should not.
From a moral standpoint.
Yes.
If anything, I'd give it back to Sean's mother and let her decide what to do with it. I was insulted at what Kristie and her folks were trying to do, so I kept the photos up, but now it's apparently causing tension between her and Matt, since now more than ever, he's getting hassled about not marrying Kristie yet.
And whose fault is that? Is Matt's fault. Marry her already or break up with her.
I assume that means that Kristie is also mad at Matt because they still aren't married, right?
Yeah, and they've been dating longer than OP and Sean have been dating, so they should have gotten married first. And now we're way behind. You need to catch up, Matt. Come on, marry me already.
Normally, I wouldn't care what Kristie and Matt were doing, but I've met their son before and he's a sweetheart. I wasn't trying to rub this in anyone's face or cause drama. I was just excited about my engagement. Am I the asshole for posting the pictures? Would it be better in the long run to take them down?
Definitely not the asshole, but I mean, would it be better in the long run to take them down? I don't know. I wouldn't want to. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, and I would be worried about setting a precedent that Kristie can make you do whatever she wants if she complains loud enough.
Oh yeah, that is a good point. You do not want to set that precedent.
Especially because you're already no contact with Kristie and Matt.
Yeah, and it feels like Kristie is just jealous that, one, you got the family heirloom ring, and two, Matt hasn't married her yet, and Sean has moved on and is going to marry you, and she still has not locked it down, despite having a kid with Matt. And I feel like just because another person isn't hitting their milestones when they want to, doesn't mean that you shouldn't celebrate when you hit your milestones, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Just because your milestones are happening at a different pace does not mean that other people should match your pace.
And it doesn't mean that they shouldn't get to celebrate those milestones because you haven't hit them yet.
Right? And it's not like OP and Sean can just wait for them to be unengaged before they steal any engagement thunder. They've been dragging their feet.
Yeah, and that's what Kristie is mad about. I feel like she's really angry at Matthew and is taking it out on you and Sean a little bit.
It sounds like also she's maybe a little bit mad at you and Sean for possibly being the preferred couple in mother-in-law's eyes.
Because they're not a bunch of cheating betrayers? Yeah.
Top comment, not the asshole. First of all, congratulations. Kristie can be jealous and say whatever she wants. It's absolutely juvenile that she has recruited her friends to message you. Block them all and enjoy the well wishes and love from people who matter. Which I can understand. Yeah, you should, in theory, block them all and enjoy the well wishes from people that matter. But the people saying hurtful stuff are awfully loud, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's why I was like, you're not the asshole, but would it be better to take the photos down? I mean, it might give you a little bit of peace and quiet, which might be what you want, and not dealing with all of this hassle and all of this drama. And oh my gosh, this is so dumb.
Kristie sounds like one of those people who just has the energy to ruin someone else's life.
Yeah, and I don't have that kind of energy. I'm just like, no, just leave me alone. Oh my gosh, mind your own business, please.
I've been trying so hard to mind my own business, and now I gotta deal with this, and it does sound a lot easier to just set your accounts for private for a while until this blows over, doesn't it?
It does.
I can't blame OP if that's what she decides, but I don't think that it's at all required.
They shouldn't have to do it. And I do think you're right that it sets a dangerous precedent if they do. But I can totally understand wanting to just set your account to private and not deal with all of this drama.
Not the asshole. Who even cares about Kristie? She's obviously a bad person and deserves to be blocked and cut out of y'all's life. So she was dating one son and cheated with the other son. As a mom, I would never give this woman any jewelry, much less an engagement heirloom. She single-handedly ruined the son's relationship. You did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I do also feel a little bit like maybe mom should step in and be like, no, you are not getting the family heirloom ever. So please stop harassing my other future daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
Is that a little harsh, though? But I feel like maybe mother-in-law should be like, this is my ring to give, and I'm giving it to OP.
Yeah, I feel like mother-in-law probably is making a statement here, right?
Yes.
She's trying not to. She's trying to maintain a cordial relationship with the mother of her grandkid.
Yes, and that grandkid is the only reason she's trying to maintain a cordial relationship.
Sounds like that's the only reason that OP is trying to maintain a cordial relationship, too, because she says he's a sweetheart. She doesn't want any of this to, the backlash to fall on him.
Yeah, you don't ever want any of the kids to be involved to take anything negative away from this experience, right?
Right. It's not their fault that you don't get along with their parents, but you are no contact with the parents, so I'm assuming you're not going to have a lot of overlap with this kid. It's really more on the parents and the grandparents to make sure none of the backlash falls on him. Not the asshole. Kristie is going crazy with jealousy. Your future mother-in-law gave the ring to Sean. Period. If it was really supposed to be Kristie's, then future mother-in-law would have given it to Matt. As for causing tension between Matt and Kristie because they aren't married is not because of you. That is their issue that probably only got surfaced because I'm sure she thinks they should be married before you guys. You aren't rubbing anything into anyone's faces, not like you intentionally posted those pics in hope Kristie, who you aren't even social media friends with, to see. You are merely trying to share a big event in your life with friends and family. It does kind of sound like maybe Kristie just wants to be first in every category.
Oh, she definitely does. That's definitely the vibe I'm getting from her.
She needs to win in every category so that it's clear that she chose the better brother.
Yeah, because right now it's looking like maybe she didn't. He won't marry her and she's having regrets.
That is a little bit of the vibe I'm getting from the very, very little we know about Kristie, right?
Yes. Well, what we know about her is not great, so.
Yeah, we only know negative things about her, and Reddit is pretty much on the same page as us. OP is not the asshole. You're allowed to post big life events on social media, and you should not have to be afraid of your fiance's ex turning up and being all crazy.
Yeah, and it does really suck that Kristie has kind of like spoiled this memory for you. This supposed to be happy memory is now smudged with yuckiness.
Just a big, gross, Kristie-shaped smudge.
No. Stop picking on me.
Am I the asshole for not letting someone I bullied think I'm doing bad in life?
Ooh, that is a great moment when you meet your high school bully later in life and you get to be like, find out that you're doing so much better than they are now. But I mean, it is a little petty, like, don't rub it in. How far did they take this?
Here's some backstory. I've always been thin. When I was in 4th and 5th grade, I was in a clique of your typical mean girls. We were all thin and pretty, or at least the boys made us feel that way. We were very popular among the boys. This made us really mean. We were arrogant assholes who thought the world revolved around us. There was this girl named Kristie who was on the heavier side, and we weren't the nicest to her. We used to make fun of her and exclude her from things, even made other people exclude her. The boys used to pretend to like her and make fun of her when she admitted she liked them. We made her school life really hard, I know that. Eventually, we all went to middle school, and I went to an advanced program, so I was no longer hanging out with the clique. Kristie did go to middle school with them, but I hadn't heard anything since. I went through middle school and got my act together, grew out of the mean girl phase, and got some decent friends. I went on to graduate college and opened my bookstore/cafe. I hadn't even thought of my elementary school friends or Kristie in many years. Until about a week ago, that is. My bookstore isn't really busy, so usually it's just me and one other person there. I run the cash register and the coffee orders. The other person is in the kitchen. We had a group of women come in about my age. I was friendly, but one of them was cold and rude straight off the bat. If you work in customer service, it's normal, so I brushed it off. I look pretty similar to how I did in elementary. My face hasn't really changed. I've just gotten taller and puberty happened. Once it was time for them to get the check, the rude woman came up to pay and told me, "Guess karma does exist." I was confused and asked what she meant. She was like, "Bullies usually get away with their actions, but looks like you weren't very successful." She told me I bullied her in elementary school and that my friends continued to do so in middle school. My heart dropped once I realized this was Kristie. I apologized for how I treated her and told her it wasn't fair she suffered through that. I even offered to comp their bill. Kristie said no to the comp, but wanted to speak to my manager or owner so they could know what kind of person they hired.
Wow, okay, that is taking the revenge a little bit too far.
I told her I was the owner, and that again, I was very sorry. She flipped out after I told her this. She said she went to years of therapy to help her self-esteem. She suffered through most of her teens and to this day had trust issues in her relationships. She was screaming that bullies shouldn't succeed and that I didn't deserve a good life. Her friends tried to get her to leave once she flipped out. They tried to apologize because they didn't know me, but I told them it was fine and that the bill was on me. My cook came out and threatened to call the cops because Kristie looked like she would get violent, but I told him it was fine. Eventually the group managed to get her out. I closed my shop for the rest of the day. I was shaken and I just wasn't in the right mindset to be there. Now, am I the asshole for not getting someone else to pretend to be manager and let Kristie think I failed in life?
First off, okay, you were obviously the asshole for being a bully in grade school, but a lot of kids that age will go with the flow. And if people are bullying someone, they will do it too. And that is not okay, but it happens a lot.
And OP did get her act together, and she does sound genuinely remorseful of her past behavior.
Yes, she does sound genuinely remorseful. And I do think that that goes a long way towards making her not the asshole in this situation. Because let's be honest, we're all little shitheads when we're kids, right? And I don't want that to be held against me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, how old are you in 5th grade? Like 10?
10 or 11, yeah.
That is an age where we're all kind of assholes. I have to say that much. It sounds like OP might have been a bit more of an asshole than a lot of people, but, you know, we all changed since 10.
And I get holding a grudge against people who were mean to you for so much of your life, but when Kristie brought it up and confronted you about it, you apologized, and she was still so angry that she, wanted to talk to your manager and get you fired. That is, way overkill on Kristie's part, I feel.
Yeah, Kristie didn't approach the situation from a very mature standpoint, I would say. She didn't walk up and say, hey, what you did to me in elementary school, it really affected me, and, that wasn't cool. It was not about confronting her, OP at all. It was about hurting OP.
Which makes me think her therapy is not working very well.
No, she definitely could stand to work on some of those issues a little more.
But the whole point is, I don't think you should have lied to her. I feel like that might have made the situation worse.
Especially if it got out that you were lying.
Oh yeah, then she'd be really mad at you.
I don't even know. If I was a manager and somebody walked up and said that your employee was mean to me when we were 10.
I'd be like, okay.
I was like, sorry, that sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That does suck. It really does suck, but...
What do you want me to do about it? That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, it sounds like OP is at least in her mid-20s. Minimum.
Yeah, she's doing okay for herself. Owns a bookstore coffee shop.
Yeah, she graduated college, so this has to be at least 15 years ago or so. And also, really not cool of Kristie to assume that somebody failed in life just because they're working a cash register.
Yeah, that's kind of rude.
I was working a cash register in my early 30s. I don't think I ever felt like a failure. I had a job.
Yeah, please, let's not belittle people in the service industry like that.
So I really think OP is not the asshole here. Yes, OP used to be the asshole, but she got better. And in this instance, I gotta say, not the asshole.
Yeah, and I gotta say, in this instance, Kristie is the asshole. Like, getting into a screaming match with someone in a coffee shop because they used to bully you and they apologized for it and you're still mad. That's kind of asshole behavior. It's definitely Karen behavior. Let me speak to your manager and tell him what a horrible person you are.
Top comment. You didn't have any choice. She asked to see the manager and the manager was you. It's horrible that she has a lot of lingering trauma from her childhood, but you didn't do anything wrong in this situation. Another comment. No, you were honest. I feel sorry for her and you. Your younger self was an asshole, but people are allowed to change, and sounds like you changed for the better. Sounds like you mean girls really did a number on that girl. Just keep being a better person as you seem to be doing.
Did you know that someone confronted me that I used to be their bully?
Really?
Yes. Someone, when I got to high school, someone came up to me and introduced themselves and was like, I knew you in kindergarten and you used to pull my hair.
In kindergarten?
In kindergarten.
Did you like them?
I had no memory of this. I was like, I don't even remember having someone with your name in my classroom, but I could see myself pulling someone's hair when I was 5 years old. I am so sorry. I was so apologetic and mortified, and we ended up becoming like kind of friends, you know. She was like, it's okay. I just thought you should know that I remembered you. And I was like, oh, I don't think I wanted you to remember me like that.
It's just, I feel like in kindergarten, when you pull someone's hair, you're either being mean to them or you're madly in love with them.
Oh, I don't think I was madly in love with her, but I might have wanted to be her friend, but I think I would remember that. I don't remember any of this at all, and I was mortified that I had picked on some little girl and pulled her hair.
I mean,
and she remembered it for like 10 years until we met up again in high school.
I mean, you were also a little girl at the time. How do you know that she didn't just make the whole thing up?
I don't know. And I was like, maybe she's misremembering and someone else. But she did go to my elementary school for kindergarten and then moved away and then went to a different school. And then that school ended up feeding up into my high school. And I didn't see her again until high school. So I was like, so she did go to my elementary school and she was in my class. I went and got my school yearbook and she was in there, but I don't remember her.
You needed to check your permanent record and see if you had any strikes about this.
Do I have any bullying on my record from kindergarten? I don't remember. But her story, I mean, kind of checked out. So I was like, I was mortified. And she thought it was kind of funny how mortified I was. It all worked out in the end. But I've still felt so bad. And I was extra nice to her for the rest of high school.
It sounds like this high schooler approached this situation a lot more maturely than the person in this story.
Yeah, I don't think she was traumatized by it. And she thought it was a little funny to begin with. So that I had that going in my favor.
Because she understood that you guys were 5, and to a high schooler, 5 is essentially a baby.
Yes.
Not the asshole. People are allowed and encouraged to learn and grow. I'm sorry for what she went through, and it sucks so much that she hasn't fully healed from that. But she wanted to speak to a manager to try to get you, an adult, fired for something you did in elementary school. That doesn't say good things about who she is as a person now. I was bullied and I ran into one of my bullies when she was working retail for a large chain. She checked my stuff out for me. I knew who she was, but I pretended not to and interacted with her the exact same way I always interact with anyone helping me. Asked how her day was, thanked her, wished her a good day, and moved on. Because A, working customer service isn't a bad thing. B, I have no idea what's going on in her life and no desire to make things worse for her if she was going through something. And C, why would I show someone who hurt me that they're still affecting my life now? The one thing I'd be very worried about is if she might try to harm you or your business. I'd check all the review sites and see if strange reviews pop up. I'd write down the date and time this happened, what happened, and if you have security footage, I'd save it somewhere just in case. If you have security camera and an alarm, cool. If you don't have them on the inside and the outside of your store, then I'd consider getting them.
That is a very good point. You do need to make sure you have some security measures in place because it doesn't sound like she's going to let this go. Yeah, I really hope that everyone who was a little turd when they were a kid grows up to be like OP and kind of like regrets everything they did and looks back on it with shame.
I don't think there's many people who don't look back at least one or two things they did in grade school with a certain amount of shame. Am I the asshole for getting into a fight over clothes smell?
Well, if you're fighting about it, they must smell bad. And bad smelling clothes are bad. Fight about that.
I, 36 male, have a son, Leo, 15 male. He mostly lives with his mother, Kristie, and her husband, Randy, as we thought it would be best for him to live in a more traditional home environment. Still, he visits often, especially when school's out. He's a great kid, social, good with school, sporty. Lately, though, I've been noticing that he's always worn out when he gets home to me. Like, he'll come in and just sit on the floor of his room with the lights off, or fall asleep at the most random times. He says Kristie's place is just a little tiring at the moment. Stuff in his room got moved around, and the lights keep flickering even after he turns it off. And his step-siblings are being louder.
Dude, do not mess with a teenager's sleep. They need that sleep, and they get crabby without it. I don't know why teenagers seem to need so much more sleep than everyone else, but they do.
Well, they're growing.
Yeah.
Puberty's rough.
It is so rough.
And if a light is flickering after you turn it out, it's not a hard fix. Come on, everybody. It's not hard. You open up the panel and you just make sure none of the wires are touching.
Okay, but you can't expect the kid to know that. You think the parents would take care of it, though.
No, I'm talking to Kristie and Randy right now. Usually he doesn't come to me during the term, but Monday he called me upset and asked me to get him. I got an Uber to pick him up immediately, while I took off work to go meet them. I called Kristie to tell her this was happening. By the way, I didn't just kidnap our son. He didn't say much when he arrived and was still in his uniform. He hugged me, went to his room, and shut the door. I checked on him and he was just lying on the carpet in the dark. Eventually, he told me Kristie sprayed a strong-scented spray through his entire closet, bed, and curtains because it smelt like a locker room.
Okay, I do get that teenage boys can be stinky and don't know they're stinky, but you can't just spray a strong-smelling spray all over someone's room. That's the worst.
What happened to opening a window?
Strong-smelling scents are like so overstimulating for me.
And I think the fact that Leo came in and had to lay in the dark might imply that he has some problems with overstimulation.
Yeah, the kid just wants some peace and quiet without any weird smells. Just calm.
Leo is sensitive to smells, and the clothes were so strong he couldn't hold them to his face, let alone put them on. I obviously got him a change of clothes and got him some food. Then I called Kristie to ask what the hell was up. Leo has always had a thing about strong smells. I think it's genetic or something, so my fault. Kristie said in the real world that some things are just going to smell. I said he manages fine at school and during swim training. He just wants comfort in his own room. Making him uncomfortable on purpose doesn't teach anything. She and I got in a fight, and I told her Leo would be back when he wants, and I'm not going to pressure him. She says I'm enabling and disrupting his schooling over clothes smell. Am I the asshole?
Sounds like Mom is disrupting his schooling over clothes smell. Mom thinks his clothes stink so stinky of boy stink that she has to spray a nasty, strong-smelling air freshener on them, and it's unbearable.
Yeah, if the clothing smells bad, don't you wash it? Isn't that the first step?
Yeah, because the spray, if you spray enough of it, can cover up the smell, but it's not going to get rid of the stink.
No, and then that's just one more thing you have to wash out of all the clothing.
Yeah, like a good first step would be, hey, just take all his clothes and wash it really well. Like maybe with a vinegar rinse or something, that helps get rid of smells.
I mean, back in college when we were on the fencing team.
Oh yeah, so smelly.
Yeah, all of our stuff was smelly. I used to go and buy special sport detergent. So they have stuff out there to fix this problem. Because Leo is on the swimming team, it sounds like. So I can say with full confidence that his gym bag smells atrocious.
Oh yeah, so stinky. And add chlorine smell into that mix. Blech.
I didn't even think about the chlorine smell.
I'm sure it's overwhelming the boy stink, actually.
Yeah, maybe Leo just needs like a hamper by the washing machine that the clothing can sit in until it gets washed soon. But spraying it with a bunch of, scented spray is not the solution, it seems like. From a standpoint of trying to get rid of the smell, at least. Yeah,
you're just like adding another atrocious smell into this cocktail of smells.
I'm just picturing, like, if the whole room smells and everything inside the room smells, it's almost like fumigating the room, isn't it? You just have to spray so much. Just open the window and wash a few things.
Also, if your room smells weird, it might not be like your clothes in the closet. It might be, how often are you washing your bedding? You should be washing that every week. And I feel like a lot of people do not, and their rooms smell a little musty.
Yeah, I mean, he is a teenage boy, so everything he touches is just naturally smellier than if somebody else had touched it. I'm sorry, teenage boys. It's just a fact. It gets better. Puberty is rough.
But I am totally behind Leo on no strong smells in my personal space. It's overwhelming. One time they didn't have my deodorant scent at the store, so I got a different scent. And oh my gosh, I could smell it all day long. And I was like, I can smell it so much. It's so strong. Why is it so strong? Same brand of deodorant, just a different scent. And I guess I'm not nose blind to it like I am my regular deodorant. It was so overwhelming all day. I was like, immediately came home and was like, I'm ordering online. Get this to me as fast as possible. I cannot deal with this strange scent any longer.
I think that's a lot of people. I am very aware if I use a different scented like shampoo or body wash. Top comment, not the asshole. Reactions to scents and smells can cause physical issues, nausea, headaches, migraines, stuffy nose, etc. She's the one disrupting his school if he can't even sleep in his own bed or let alone breathe the air because to him it's toxic. Ask her why she's okay with poisoning her son. Keep him at home until she pulls her head out of her arse. Somebody replied to that, I can confirm that strong smells, especially floral, will give me a migraine in 10 minutes. I have medicine that works for me now. But in the beginning, the only thing that helped was a dark, quiet place free of smells.
Yeah, and it sounds like maybe he might be getting migraines. He was going into the dark, quiet rooms and just laying down on the floor.
Not the asshole. A 15-year-old boy smells like a locker room? That never happens.
What? Surprise, surprise.
Is it possible he's on the spectrum somewhat? It sounds like he gets overwhelmed by too much sensory input in a variety of forms. It might be worth talking to a doctor about, or he could ignore me since I'm just a random guy on the internet.
I was thinking that too, but then I was thinking, I don't know, flickering lights and screaming step siblings and overwhelming florally spray scents from your mom spraying your room. I think that might overwhelm anyone.
Oh, it would absolutely overwhelm me. I have to agree on that. Flickering lights, it pisses me off, but I think that's because I know that I could fix that light if I was allowed to open that light switch up. Sorry, I did flip houses for like 8 years.
You're like, I can fix that. Just let me in there.
Yeah, just give me a flathead. I can fix it in like 5 minutes. OP replied, oh yeah, it might sound like that, but I think he's just similar to me in that regard, lol. One of the reasons my house is a bit less traditionally homey is because I have the same things, especially with light and sound.
Does he know that autism is genetic? So he might also have it.
Yeah, a few commenters replied to that one. You might be undiagnosed too, though. That's what happens to a lot of high-functioning families. They think their kids cannot be neurodivergent because they're like us. I agree, though. Just random people on the internet. Maybe you're not, and just highly sensitive to those two things. It's always worth it to talk to a doctor, though, in my opinion. Even if it's just to say, we made sure that it wasn't this.
Yeah, this is a problem with a lot of genetic issues. You go to your parents and you're like, hey, something weird is happening with me. And they're like, oh, everybody has that. That's totally normal. And everybody in your family does have it. It is totally normal for your very weird genetically issue-inclined family.
Yeah. Everybody's in pain all the time. That's normal. Overall, though, the commenters essentially have two opinions. They're of the opinion that all 15-year-old boys smell and this is normal, or they are commiserating with them because they are also triggered by weird smells.
Yeah, weird smells are awful.
Honestly, I don't get like migraines or anything from them, but if something smells weird and off, it bothers me a lot. Like, I have to go seek it out and figure out what that weird smell is.
What if you know what it is, but there's nothing you can do about it?
Oh, then I open the window, hopefully, or clean it.
But I think the main point is that the son, Leo, should not be made this uncomfortable in his own bedroom, his own safe space. So I totally can get behind him calling up his dad and being like, dude, come rescue me. It's the worst here.
Yeah, and he only had the clothes on his back because all of his clothing smells now.
Gotta wash all those clothes before he can wear them again.
All right, that's our last story for this episode of Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.
And don't forget to let us know in the comments how big of an asshole Kristie is.
Not an asshole at all. No Kristies are assholes in this episode or ever.
To be fair, in the comments, most of those OPs admitted that they changed everyone's names. So maybe this is just a conspiracy of people trying to besmirch the good name Kristie.
I think that's true, yeah. Why would they do that?
They're just jealous of the angelic nature that is Kristie.